The Un-Office-Ial Adventures of Thrag and Gary Cybersecurity. Disclaimer: the following is a collection of security footage that has been cleared for public viewing purposes by all persons concerned. This publication is for use in entertainment or in cultural exchanges only. Publishing of this material under any other platform for any purpose except those explicitly stated will result in copyright litigation by Galactisurance Incorporated. Thrag is a Taurian, a humanoid bipedal creature similar to a minotaur. Gary is a human. He has red hair and wears a leather jacket. The two sit quietly in their office doing their work, Thrag on one end, Gary on the other. Thrag: "Hey, Gary." Thrag looks up from his desk. Gary: "Yeah, bud? Need help with the quarterly?" Thrag: Nah, I finished that an hour ago waiting on approval from the higher-ups at the moment. Was browsing your internet?" Gary: "Oh no." Gary cringes a bit at the thought. Thrag: "And I found something called a VPN. Gary, Virtual Private Network. It's a computer program that bounces your communication network around multiple servers to confuse attackers or bypass area restrictions in digital software." Thrag: "That's a thing. Why would you do that? Why would that be needed?" Gary rolls his eyes. "Oh, come on, you serious? You don't have cybersecurity in your homeworld?" Thrag: "No, we do not. We have a society built on trust." Gary: "Well, dude, we do not. Human history has been a massive litany of I don't like you, and that dude is sus since we entered our first ice age. For us, it was a matter of survival." Thrag cringes at the thought and visibly begins to sweat. "Oh dear, Gary, yeah, I know. But that's what we are here for. Your job is to organize credit reports. My job is to encrypt and decrypt them. Sort of like holding a key to the treasure chest in the dungeon." Thrag: "So, how does this cybersecurity work? I mean, how many passwords could you possibly have you need an entire system to protect them?" Gary: "Cybersec is more than just passwords. It's malware, phishing attempts, theft of login info, keyloggers, cheat software, viruses that delete code. It's a lot of things, all of it based entirely on malicious intent. We have an entire subspecies of human, you know? We call them hackers. They are universally hated by everyone, everywhere." Thrag: "What's a hacker then? Does it have more than one leg?" Gary: No. It's a human just like me, only it's slightly more brain damaged and has no friends, or a soul. Its entire intent is to spread its discontent for its own lack of life to everyone else by stealing things it doesn't own." Thrag: That sounds genuinely awful. What the hell?" Gary: "Yep, kind of why we hate them, but it's kind of pointless. Only damage they usually do is leaking federal documents exposing politicians they don't like, or scamming the occasional grandma of her retirement savings. When we find them, the punishment is usually quite merciless." Thrag: "Merciless? Gary, the only thing these creatures hate more than anything else is the light shining upon them. They rely on anonymity to do the things they do. We convict them, plaster their faces everywhere, and install a chip in them that electrocutes them every time they touch a digital device. It's a double punishment because it first shows the public never to trust them and ensures they can't do it again." Thrag: "That seems a bit harsh with humans, to be honest." Gary: "Maybe, but now the hackers only work for us, as opposed to against us." Thrag: "I see. Asterisk." Several moments of silence follow asterisk Thrag. Gary: "How exactly did you people defeat the Kasani Imperium?" Gary: "That's a question out of the blue." Thrag: "I mean it. They were the most repulsively powerful empire. 2,000 years old, the largest fleet, the largest army. Then they found you and suddenly they lost. How?" Gary: "Their firewalls were shit." Thrag: "What?" Gary: "Thing is, they may have guns, but the electronic and digital security they had on their ships was practically non-existent. They arrived, and during the whole evil villain I'm gonna conquer your world speech, someone, probably 4chan or the CIA, found an open wireless network link." Thrag: "You gotta be kidding me." Gary: "No, I'm dead serious. They live in a trust-based, honor-bound society, and because of this, they had no concept of malware or firewall protections. Their ships might have been able to deflect gigaton-level nukes, but their ship controls were like a brothel with its doors unbarred and unguarded with a free-for-all sign on the front door." Thrag: "Gods, I wish the Raimani knew that. Probably would still be around." Gary, well, they are. But that's another story. Thrag nearly chokes as he gasps aloud at the sudden revelation Gary. But anyway, thing is, once we got into their systems, it was trivial to translate their language and hardware. As you know, humans have over 200 languages and had algorithms to compensate for this. We just let the computers do the work, and once we knew what we were doing, switched their ships off. Thrag, it was that simple? Gary, pretty much. Root access to operating system, figure out what controls which and where things go, then poof, we just shut their ships off, giving lockdown errors to reactors, orders to overproduce energy to shields overloading them, disabling cannons so they couldn't fire, switching off life support. Thrag, switching off life support? Gary, well, when we couldn't switch anything else off, we just switched off life support. Or simply put the life support system in reverse so it sucked up all the air and vented it into space. Not intentionally, of course, but hey, we were panicking. Thrag, wait, not intentionally? What do you mean? Gary, look, it's not in our nature to be overly aggressive. We only get rowdy when we think things are unfair. We were trying to just switch them off so we could have more time. Thrag, to do what exactly, Gary? Panic, of course, but we went just a bit too far. Someone unloaded a Trojan onto the system. We blocked it from our systems immediately, of course, but them, not so much. Thrag, Trojan? Gary, oh, right. Trojan is a kind of malicious code that disguises itself as a non-malicious code in order to inflict damage. Trojan coming from the old legend of the Battle of Troy, where soldiers from the Trojan army destroyed their enemies by hiding inside a giant wooden horse. Thrag, oh, okay. I shall have to ask you about that one later, but I'm with you. Gary, so anyway, the Trojan went in and spread through the entire network. We only wanted to, and I need to emphasize this, only wanted to just send them home or try negotiate. The Trojan, however, had other plans and went through the entire network, completely corrupting it. The worst thing was, they still had an FTL comlink back to their bases. Thrag, oh dear, Gary, oh dear indeed. It infected every ship, every station, every waypoint, every jump gate, every waffle iron, everything. It gave us root access to every system they had. It continued to carry out either one of the last two commands we carried out before it infected the network. Go home or shut down life support. Thrag, well, now I understand why casualties were so high. Gary, again, I will say we did not want that to happen. We just wanted them to leave and not shoot. We had no idea what was going on with that Trojan until it was too late. When we did realize what was going on, we sent in an antivirus to try get rid of the Trojan so we could stop it. It wiped out half their fleet across the entire galaxy before we got control again. Thrag, well, we wish you wouldn't have to be completely honest. The galactic community was very disappointed when we heard you were letting them go. They were total bastards. Gary, again, we are not that vindictive. Mostly. All we wanted was to be left alone, and they promised to leave us alone. Thrag, well, now perhaps it would behoove you to know that's the one thing they aren't doing. Gary imperceptibly moves his left hand to the underside of his desk and starts a recording in his phone. Gary, I'm sorry. Could you say that again? What are the Cassani Imperium doing again? Thrag, look, see? They are mobilizing their military on our borders again. They are marching towards Earth. Gary, oh my. Thrag turns his monitor around and shows Gary the now infamous video of Cassani Imperium forces amassing in a border system in neutral space bordering Thrag's home nation space. The fleet consists of thousands of top-of-the-line warships. They are all directly facing the nearest hyperlink straight to Sol. Gary, that is most unfortunate. Oh well, Thrag, they are about to invade you. You should have put them down when you had the chance. Now look, that fleet is 10 times the size of the one that tried to hit Sol. Gary, meh, maybe this time we will. Gary ignores Thrag's further attempts at conversation and sends out some hasty emails. Thrag, wait, you said the Ramani were still around? Gary smiles in a cheeky manner and winks Gary. Later, Thrag, later, we have a job to do. What follows this broadcast is one of the most merciless mass slaughters in galactic history, as humanity, wary of their former opponents, had installed many back doors into their systems. Within the space of a few hours after this information was found by Terran Federation authorities, every ship in the fleet had its atmosphere vented and AL crew members killed. Several more Trojans were released into the network and the Kasani Imperium collapsed. With the majority of their infrastructure now worthless, the Kasani homeworld fell to ruin. Humans invaded the other worlds in the Kasani Imperium, forcibly integrating the remaining citizenry into the Federation and leaving the Kasani homeworld to rot. The Kasani homeworld has since regressed into a medieval or feudal-like state of civilization, owing to the fact their entire technology base was stolen by humans, or completely erased. Disclaimer: the following is a collection of security footage that has been cleared for public viewing purposes by all persons concerned. This publication is for use in entertainment or in cultural exchanges only. Publishing of this material under any other platform for any purpose, except those explicitly stated, will result in copyright litigation by Galacti-Surance Incorporated. Thrag is a Taurian, a humanoid bipedal creature similar to a minotaur. Gary is a human. He has red hair and wears a leather jacket. The two sit quietly in their office doing their work, Thrag on one end, Gary on the other. Due to technical difficulties, the main security camera installed in the main office failed to record any audio. Gary sits at his table, as does Thrag, calm and busy. Thrag suddenly seems extremely distracted and his eyes go large in response to something on his screen. Gary furrows a brow but continues working. Thrag continues to click and browse. Thrag suddenly vocalizes something and Gary appears to respond. Gary stands from his desk and Thrag apparently rejects the approach and Gary reluctantly returns to his seat. Thrag continues to type and click. Gary looks over at Thrag and wonders what's going on. Gary begins to sneak up to Thrag, feigning looking for files and folders in a cabinet, then moving them around. Eventually, Gary gets behind Thrag's desk. Gary sees what Thrag is looking at and attempts to stop it, immediately bolting towards the desk and trying to close applications and windows as fast as possible. Thrag takes offense and tries to fight back. The violence escalates. Gary tears the monitor out of its housing and grabs the mouse and keyboard before attempting to run for the door. Thrag pounces, fully attacking him at this point, and the two exchange fists for a few moments. Finally, Gary manages to kick Thrag off him, and he bolts out the door with Thrag in hot pursuit. It is at this point the hallway security camera catches the rest of the action in full audio. Gary, no, 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 Thrag, give me back my mouse. Gary, hell no, you crazy loon. Thrag, give me that mouse now. Gary and Thrag once again begin to throw fisticuffs and several dents appear in the office hallway's drywall, followed by several fist and hoof-shaped holes. Thrag, I need that! I need that back now! Gary, no you don't. It's poison, Thrag. Look what it's doing to you. Thrag, gimme that you sonova, bish! Thrag throws Gary down the hallway and begins a bull charge, bearing his horns. He charges at Gary and is stopped mid-charge by a frying pan clonking him on the head with a loud clang. Gary looks over at the woman holding it and thanks her before he is tackled to the ground and arrested by security. Thrag is like-yous arrested as well. A police officer moves into the office and replaces the monitor, conducting a makeshift repair and sees what's on the screen. He pokes his head out of the office door into the hallway and yells, "Cop, aight! Which one of you stupid morons disabled the rule?" 34. Filter on the network. Thrag and Gary sit in their office, debris partially cleaned, patches of duct tape and a loosely hung painting hangs on the wall, obscuring a hole near the door. One of Thrag's horns are cracked, bandaged up, along with a bandage across his chest and a bandage fully obscuring his left eye. Gary has fared no better and has his left arm in a sling with his right thumb bandaged up. Several ribs are also broken, as Gary can be seen and heard wincing in pain every time he leans forward. Thrag, hey Gary. Gary, yes? Thrag, I'm sorry. Gary, forgiven, buddy, forgiven. Just please stay away from those websites. We have them blocked on every extranet network for a very good reason. Thrag, okay. Gary, just remember, it's for a reason. Thrag, understood.